Hi, my name is Hanna, and today we have our US tax expert Derren. We also have our US real estate and legal expert Jay. We will be discussing US real estate forensic. Hai, nama saya Hanna. Hari ini kami memiliki pakar pajak Amerika Serikat kami Derren. Kami juga memiliki pakar real estate dan hukum Amerika Serikat kami Jay. Dan kami akan membahas forensik real estate Amerika Serikat.
This podcast channel is about you, successful international entrepreneurs, successful expats, successful investors. Sponsored by HCJ.tax.
Hi, my name is Hanna and I'm from Indonesia, and currently I'm working with US tax firm. And today we will talk about US real estate forensic with Jay Knight and Derren Joseph. Would you please introduce yourself, Derren?
Thank you, Hannah. So this would be the third installment in our series on U.S. real estate for Asian investors. My name is Derren Joseph, and I'm a tax professional. Our team does international tax in general, but U.S. international in particular. And in this context, we are talking about Asian investors into U.S. real estate.
Jay?
All right, thanks Hannah and Derren. Thanks for having me here again. It's great to be back. Yeah, my name is Jay Knight. I'm a licensed real estate broker from the state of California, and I work with Asian investors who want to pathway to deal with someone in America to help them purchase property. So that's a little bit about my background, and yeah, looking forward to our discussion tonight.
So, would you please introduce the case, Derren?
Right, so we did some searching in some online databases, legal databases, where you can, because when a matter is taken before court in the US, for the most part, exceptions of course, but for the most part, they're a matter of public record. So we're going to talk about a relatively prominent Indonesian family who invested into attempted or has invested into US real estate. We won't name names, we don't want to embarrass anyone. Everything is freely available online, but we don't want to use any names in this conversation because it'll be distracting. What we want to do is focus on what happened and perhaps lessons that would be learned that would be applicable to anyone. Okay?
Yeah, sure. And do you have anything to add, Jay?
Oh, sounds good.
Okay. All right, cool. So Jay, I mean, this is your wheelhouse. So do you want to paint the scene?
All right. Yeah, this was a very tragic situation, although it probably isn't all that uncommon. If we did a little bit more searching, I'm sure that we would find quite a few of these. And basically, it is real estate scam 101. Maybe not that egregious because we don't know the actual intent of the in this case, the defendants, but it sure seems like that from an outside look. And basically what happened was a very well-to-do Indonesian family had invested some money after going to a real estate seminar that was held in Indonesia. And they were convinced to basically invest some money in what would be a limited partnership, which that limited partnership would then buy bulks of properties in the state of Michigan in America. And as a result of this limited partnership and the amount that they invested, which was going to be over $1 million, they were promised that they would be granted some sort of a visa that would allow them a pathway towards a green card and then future residency. So that was really the impetus to this whole case. Was they wanted to invest the money, and they were very enticed by the fact that they were promised high returns and good investments, and also that they would have a pathway to this residency in America. So that's kind of like the outlining area of what happened, right? So maybe you want to add a little bit more, but that's kind of it in a nutshell in terms of the overview.
Okay, sounds good.
And now let's talk about EB5. Derren.
Right, so EB5, for those who are not aware, is an investment migration product or opportunity, in the sense that there's nothing illegal about it. Most countries in the world, advanced economies, have a way of attracting wealthy residents to come and live in their jurisdictions. So whether it's Australia, New Zealand, or Western European countries, US and Canada, UK, they all have a pathway to reside in their country as a legal resident, assuming that you have the ability to invest a certain amount of money. In the US, the most popular option in terms of migration opportunities for high net worth individuals would be the EB5. Now, the EB5, as Jay mentioned, is relevant to this case. And it is, I'll just step back and I'll say this is a nightmare. It is a minefield in that it's literally the Wild West. It is unregulated. Anyone can just wake up and decide, you know what, I'm going to offer EB5s. And it's not easy, but the thing is that you need to connect with someone who has an approved EB5 development. So a development in the US that has been certified by the relevant government department, which means that if someone were to invest in it and it generates a certain number of jobs, then the investor has a chance of applying successfully to get a visa for him and his family. At first, the resident visa is temporary, and then after a year, you have the opportunity to apply for a permanent residence, which is commonly known as a green card. But this video is not meant to be a how-to guide. It's in the context of the case that was outlined previously. The EB5 is relevant to that case. Now, in looking at the fact pattern, one of the things that jumps out, and this is a cautionary tale, and for those who want more info, what we'll do is we'll put some notes below this video. One is an article that we did a couple of years ago on the need for caution around the EB5, and we pull and we quote some stuff from the relevant government websites below the video, yeah. Just showing how dangerous it is. It is such a dangerous, and it's dangerous because a lot of unregulated people play in that space. And we'd also have two other interviews that we did separate from this with reputable agents. See, these are agents who are not licensed, but are recognized as being completely 100% above board, and they're recognized by the government. So one of the problems with this visa, as with many immigrants' investment visa opportunities, is that it's hard to tell who are legitimate and who are not. And the easiest way, and as the interviews that we've done below tell us, is to look on the actual government website. So if it is if you're investing to get a passport from a Caribbean country, you need to look on the relevant government department and see whether that person that you're speaking to is listed there. If they're not, you're talking to a broker. That's an in-between guy, and you don't know how many people are in between him and the guy that you actually see on the website. Similarly with the US, there's certain zones or projects in the US that have been recognized and accredited. If you're not speaking with someone who's directly affiliated with that development, and you can see somehow their credentials or their company is listed there, you're talking to a broker again. And again, you don't know how many people are between that person and the actual developer. So
it's pretty dangerous, yeah?
It is pretty dangerous, and for the average foreigner in Asia, you may not understand the legalese, you may not understand how it works, and sometimes the English is difficult to understand, so it's relatively easy to get, I'm not saying deceived, but it's easy for misunderstandings to arise. And again, we're not casting aspersions on any parties in this case. All we're saying is that obviously there was a misunderstanding, which is why they're in court in the first place. And potentially part of the misunderstanding has arisen because they may not have had the initial conversations. They may not have entered into a transaction with someone who is directly recognized as a developer of a project that qualifies for EB5. So that's it.
I see.
So, yeah, just to piggyback off that a little bit, a couple things. One, yeah, in this case, we don't know the intent of the defendants and what their mind state was, so we can't speculate. We can't just call them, scammers, because we don't really know. But just to lay a little bit more of the facts out, basically, this couple from Indonesia met with this individual that was the CEO of a company. He wasn't licensed in any capacity, at least not in real estate, but he had a real estate investment company. So you don't need to be licensed to have an investment company for real estate. Anybody can own a real estate investment company and just advertise and have people come and invest money and promise them some kind of great returns, which they did. So we don't know what their mind state was, but the couple invested over $1 million, and they were promised that they were going to have bought about 40 different properties into a limited partnership, which then the investors would then be a partner or have ownership of this limited partnership. Well, of course, that never happened, and then they ended up going to court. The real estate investment company admitted that they had not fulfilled the obligations that they were contracted to do. They entered into a settlement agreement to pay back the money that they had taken or they had received, and they had never actually paid the money back. I think they invested over $1 million, and they'd only paid back $100,000. So there was still almost $950,000 that this couple from overseas had invested, which they never got back. So again, we don't know the exact circumstances of the mind state of the people that had the investment company, but the real key to this is they were not licensed. And when we want to do business with people, you have to make sure that they are licensed. So that's number one. Now, just to clarify one thing that Derren had said earlier, he mentioned the term broker a couple of times. In that case, where he's referring to, I think, and I don't want to put words in my mouth, but I think he means is a middleman.
Yes.
A middleman that goes in between people to make deals happen. As I mentioned, I'm a licensed real estate broker in California, and that's a little bit different. I just don't want to make those terms synonymous. Most brokers in California that deal with real estate are licensed. They're not middlemen. But in any case, so you want to make sure that you are dealing with these types of licensed professionals and not just these anybody out of the blue that can say, hey, I own a real estate investment company, come invest in my company. The other thing I just want to touch on real quickly too is that this type of advertising is very enticing for people overseas that have a lot of money. It's like dangling a carrot in front of them. So they get really, really excited. Oh, this is a perfect way for me. Hey, I got a lot of money. I want to invest. And that way I have a perfect path to becoming eventually becoming a citizen. So this is what some of these companies do. They advertise specifically targeting overseas investors to say, hey, look, we have this great opportunity for you. You can become a U.S. citizen. All you need to do is invest $1 million and we'll handle all the rest, blah, 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 blah. So this is one of the things that we really have to warn about and make sure that it's out there that this is what's happening. So if you are interested in investing overseas, don't be fooled by these kind of Johnny-come-lately agencies. Make sure that you're dealing with real professionals.
And
Yes, I've heard there's so many scammers. I mean, just like what Jay say about the couple from overseas trying to invest in Indonesia, and then they get scammed. I don't know if they get scammed or because of the rule here in Indonesia, they cannot do anything or something like that. But there is so many things that is like seems like scamming, but it's not scamming, or it is scamming. So I think all of us have to be really careful in choosing which licensed broker to choose. I mean, like, yeah. So make sure that it will be like licensed broker, or go directly to the real estate company or something like that. So go ahead, Derren. You were gonna say something.
Yeah, I was just the idea that Joe just shared about the marketing. It is very, very enticing. I remember seeing there was a case in China where someone who allegedly was related to Donald Trump, or had some sort of connection to Donald Trump. So once he won the election, I think it was 2016 or so, that person was already involved in EB5, but they just ramped up the marketing and emphasizing the connection to the Trump family in order to entice investors. And someone caught it on camera, and obviously they stopped doing it afterwards. But with someone bringing those credentials to you, it's really hard to know whether they're real or not. So the marketing can be very, very enticing. And in terms of, just like 3 takeaways in terms of signs of fraud, the first thing that would be described as a hallmark of fraud is promise of a visa to be a lawful permanent resident. So if someone promises you a green card, straight up walk away, because it's subject to an application process. When it comes to the U.S. government, no civilian can promise you something from the U.S. government. You can apply, but as to whether your application is confirmed or not, that's up to the U.S. government. So when someone is promising you a visa from the U.S. government, don't just walk, run. The second thing is guaranteed investment returns. One of the qualifications for a project to be considered as recognized with the EB5 program is that the money must be at risk. It must be a legitimate business enterprise. And we all know with business, there are no guarantees. So once someone is telling you, well, there's no risk, don't worry, you will get your money back. Again, don't just walk, run. And then icing on the cake, the third hallmark of fraud is when they guarantee high returns. So not just are they guarantee that you will get your money back, but they're talking about double-digit returns. And they're guaranteeing it. Some of them do. And it's quite common, because I've been to quite a number of real estate presentations in Asia, and they all talk about guaranteed 20% return, 25% return. When someone is talking about a guaranteed return on an EB5 project, don't just walk, run.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.